Welcome, everybody, as we are getting ready for Warrior Basketball right here on BSDNlive.com, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, Saunders County Online, and WahooRadio.com. Listening to the band as they have been doing a fantastic job And, of course, we have actually going to bring you the Warriors tonight, and then we're going to travel over to DC West. We do coverage for DC West, so you get a bonus as the Warriors take on the Falcons. And so you'll be able to watch that, and I'll put that out here on as not only WDCNEmedia.com, but BSDN Live and Saunders County Online. So, again, a great weekend for basketball. Today we have the games are sponsored by Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. We do want to say thank you to all the sponsors, part of our broadcasts all year long. JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth at Molly Construction. Let's take a quick look at the teams as we're about ready to get started here. Take a look at the lineup here as we have the 7-6 Warriors taking on the 8-5 Trojans. So it's going to be a tough game. And this actually is a really big game for both teams, for the Warriors in particular, looking at where they're seated towards the end of the season. So looking at how that's going to lay out. So let's turn things over and start looking at Platteview and some of the stats there. Ranked 72 in their 1-0 in the district. Points per game, the leader is Katie Van Osdal, 12.2 points per game. Then Brooklyn Stalick leads for field goal percentage for Platteview. At 39%. Rebounds per game, Brooklyn Stalick also leading the way, 7.5 points per game. Assists per game, Katie Van Osdal, 3.5. Steals per game, leading the way is Brie Weldon at 2.3. Blocks per game, Nora Haynes at 1.4 per game. Free throw percentage, Ava Krebs leads at 85% from the foul line. And three-point percentage, Alexis Mendel leads at 31%. Overall points for the season, Katie Van Osdal leading 158 points total for the Trojans. Now let's take a look at the stats and the leaders for the Warriors. Claire Emerson leading the way, 10.5 points per game. Field goal percentage is Addie Gregg, 42%. Rebounds per game, Claire Emerson leads at 5.4 rebounds per game. Assists per game, Karen Eady, 1.7. Steals per game, Karen Eady is leading there as well, 2.2. Blocks per game, Nevea Nollander leads at 0.3 blocks per game. Free throw percentage, Karen Eady, 59%. Three-point percentage is Erin Galladay at 28%. And Claire Emerson leading the way, 136 points so far this season. Well, that's a look at the two teams. Then after this game, we will be turning things over as we have the boys taking on. And it's nice having the new gym available to us this year and having this set up, as well as being able to have multiple cameras set up so we can see the angles all over the place. And so, again, thank you to the Booster Club, as well as all the sponsors for being a part of that. Well, we're going to take a little moment, be able to listen to what's happening in the background, but again, this is the pregame show, and the game sponsor is tonight. Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters are the game sponsors for tonight. Again, say thank you to all the sponsors one more time. JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic and Acupuncture, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutter Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. So there we have the starting lineups, and we are ready to play basketball. Again, say thank you to all the sponsors. Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. So we have, for tip-off, we have Claire Emerson facing off against Brooklyn Stalick. Tip-off is won by the Warriors. Goes over to Galladay. Galladay gets it across. All the way to Emerson. Emerson back to Galladay. Galladay sends it over to Hancock. Hancock's on the left side. In the far left corner, it's Emerson. Drives in, puts it up, and is able to drop it in for two. And we have driving in the lane, then pushes it out to the far side. Now in the lane, we have Stalick. Stalick sends it out to Strukenholtz, puts it up for three, and it's out of bounds. Turnover back over to the Warriors. Warriors lead 2-0, 7:13 left in the first period. Inbound, gets sent back, and trying to save it, ends up going out of bounds into the band. Turnover back over to the Trojans. Just a little bit too high for Emerson to be able to grab. So to inbound, it goes out to the top for Vandesal. Sends it to the near side, back to the top of the key. Back over to the near side. Top of the key, now we have Mandel dribbling across the top. Sends it across to the far side to Vandesal. Now all the way across, back to the top. Looked at the three, drives in. Bounce pass underneath to the near side. Then over to Strukenholtz. Strukenholtz sends it across. Driving in is Mandel and gets called for the travel. Warriors inbound, gets it into Hancock. Hancock back over to Emerson. Emerson drives down. Puts it up and in for two. And with that, we see a timeout. So we'll go ahead and take a quick moment here. It's a 30-second timeout. Again, we want to say thank you to all the sponsors, part of the Falcon, or part of the Warriors, as we have JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Sid Dillon, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Goes over to the far side as Strukenholtz sends it back to the top of the key. Back to Strukenholtz, tries to get it underneath to Weldon. Weldon sends it back out to Strukenholtz, and then it goes out of bounds off of a Warrior. Weldon inbounds, sends it to the top to Vandesal. Drives in, picks it up, sends it across to the near side to Mandel. Mandel dribbles over to Strukenholtz, gets it underneath, back over to Mandel, takes the three, and that one's off the mark. Rebound, and that gets in to Galladay's hand, sends it forward as Emerson takes it in, puts it up, and drops it in for two. Over on the near side, 6-0, 5:37 left. Sends it across to Strukenholtz for the Trojans. Underneath, ends up going out of bounds and not able to save it. So Mandel not able to grab that one. Turns it over to the Warriors. Inbound goes across over to Wesley. Wesley gets it into Galladay. Brings it onto the near side. Going forward is Edie, and she draws the foul. It's the first foul of the game. It's the first personal foul against, and that is against Nora Haynes. Warriors with the inbound, get it in to Emerson. Drops it in for 2. Trojans get to the far side. Across the top of the key, all the way to the near side. Looked at the shot, but gets it back over to the top to Stukenholz. Stukenholz sends it all the way across to Vandosdal. Gets it underneath to Haynes. Back to Vandosdal. Over to Haynes on the far corner. Passing it, gets it across. Driving in. Turn around, and Stelik gets it to the near side. Almost got the shot clock violation, but able to bounce it off and get the rebound. Trojans with their first 2 points of the game. Warriors inbound. Get it over to the near side. Edie sends it forward. Gets it to Galladay. Now Hancock with a 3 and is able to drain that one. 11-2, 4:11 left in the first period. Gets it underneath. Going in, drives in, able to put it up as Nora Haynes for the Trojans. Full pressure. Gets it across and out to Edie. Edie to Hancock. Takes the long 3, and that one's off the mark. Rebound gets into the hands of Mandel for the Trojans. Out of bounds off of the Warriors. So Trojans with the inbound. Inbound, send it in to Vandosdal. She hands it off to Haynes. And now in the hands of Mandel. Mandel picks it up, looking for help. Bounce pass underneath. And battle for the ball goes out of bounds, and they say it stays with the Trojans. So coming in for the Warriors, we have number 15, Talia Roberts, as well as number 22, Nevea Mollander. Trojans with the ball on the right side. Driving in, sends it all the way to Stukenholz, takes the 3, and that's long. Rebound. And so the rebound is won by Wesley, and then she is fouled. So stepping back to inbound for the Warriors is Emerson. Emerson gets it to Galladay. Sends it across to Wesley. Wesley back to Galladay, gets across the timeline. Forward to Emerson. All the way across to the far side. Long 3, and it's off the mark. Rebound by the Trojans. Trojans send it forward. Comes across. Get it in and tries to send it across to Haynes. Underneath to the near side, Stukenholz drives in, looking for the screen. Gets it across over to Vandosdal. Underneath to Haynes, who puts it up. Not able to get it to drop in. Turnover back over to the Warriors. Galladay taking it to the line. Drives across the timeline. Gets it to the far side. Pass is stolen away. Driving in and putting it up. And in was Bria Weldon for the Trojans. Goes across and pass gets over to Wesley, and then it is called as a travel. Turnover back over to the Trojans. Trojans inbound, get it to the top for Vandosdal. Vandosdal to Haynes, back to the top of the key, all the way across to the near side. Mandel. A foul right there, first team foul and first personal foul for the Warriors, and that goes against Claire Emerson. Inbound goes to the top of the key to the near side. Vandosdal goes back across, underneath to Haynes. Haynes sends it across, gets back over to the top of the key for Mandel. Mandel back to Vandosdal. Three-point attempt is slightly off the mark. Rebound. Another three-point attempt for the Trojans. And that one is tossed up, but it gets into the hands of the Warriors. Now back to Galladay. Galladay across the timeline. Goes to the far side. Hands off to Hancock. Hancock to Galladay. Galladay gets it over to Greg. Greg brings it up, and it's a Hancock on the near side. Looked at the three. Back over to Greg. Greg gets the screen for Smart. Now to Galladay. Galladay driving in. Picks it up. Goes all the way across. Driving in is Edie. She draws the foul. So that is the third team foul for the Trojans. It's the first personal foul for Brea Weldon. And that is sending Edie to the free throw line. First up is slightly off the mark. Wesley comes in, replacing Addie Smart. Second attempt, and that one's off the mark. Ends up going out of bounds. Turnover to the Trojans. Trojans with the inbound, get it over to Vandersdal. To the far side, Stugenholtz loses it, and it is chased down, picked up by Wesley. Wesley gets it to Greg. Greg sends it to Hancock onto the near side. That's the top of the key. And she is called for the travel. Inbound. Comes across. Gets underneath, bounce pass to the near side, all the way back to the top of the key for the Trojans, all the way across to Stukenholtz. Stukenholtz drives in, puts it up, not able to get anything done there, and goes out of bounds. Turnover. Back over to the Warriors. Warriors lead 11-6, 20 seconds left of the first period. Inbound goes to Galladay. Galladay gets it across to Hancock. Hancock gets it back to Galladay. Now across the timeline. Goes forward. Hancock on the far side. Three-point attempts off the mark. Galladay with a rebound. Puts that up for a two. Not able to get it in. It's up in the air and runs out of time. One complete. Warriors lead 11-6. It is Warrior basketball here on BSDN Live, Saunders County Online, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, and WahooRadio.com. Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. I want to say thank you also to all the sponsors, including JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway and Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Inbound for the Trojans. Come to the near side. Timeout taken. Just a short timeout. We'll take a little break ourselves. Warriors with the inbound to Galladay. Galladay picks it up, gets it to Hancock, and out of time. 10-second violation. Turnover back over to the Trojans. Inbound. Comes all the way across. And so that gets to Tex. Tex sends it in, comes across from Farborough. Now to the near side is Mandel. Takes it all the way across over to Keene. Keene drives in but pulls back. All the way near to Stukenholtz taking the three, and that one's off the mark. Rebound by Wesley for the Warriors. Goes near side and good pass underneath to Emerson. Able to drop it in for two. Comes across underneath, but sends it back out to Stukenholtz. Back underneath, over to the far side, three-pointer, and that one, again, is off a little too hard. Rebound by Wesley, and then they call a jump ball. Possession arrow is on Wahoo's behalf. So stepping out to take the inbound, we have Emerson. Emerson sends it forward and gets to Galladay. Galladay gets it across the timeline. Comes to the near side. It was Wesley. Gets it in underneath. Going up and drawing the foul is Edie. So 15-6, 6:07 left of the half. Edie with two attempts. Well, actually, I'm sorry. This is the and one. That is up and good. Trojans now with the inbound. Goes to the near side. Comes across. The pass tries to be taken away by Wesley, by Emerson, but it ends up going out of bounds off the Trojans. Pass back. Gets knocked out of bounds off of Weldon. So the Warriors get another attempt. Wesley drives all the way in, a bounce pass underneath, hands it out to Galladay. Galladay gets to Hancock at the top of the key. The ball gets batted out of Hancock's hand, goes out of bounds, stays with the Warriors. Galladay calling the play. Gets it into Emerson's hands. Emerson puts it in underneath as Edie puts it up, and she draws the foul. That's the second team foul for the period. First personal foul for Riley Tex. It's up and rims out. One more attempt. 5:27 left of the first half. 16-6. Warriors with the lead. Big game for both teams. Looking at the seeding for tournament time. Trojans slow down. Vanisal gets it across all the way across to Mantel, who takes a three off the mark. Galladay with the rebound. Sending it forward. Looking for help. About to run out of time. Out. And with that, coach was able to call a timeout before they got the 10-second violation. All right, Warriors with the inbound. Gets it into Galladay's hands. Galladay looking to call the play. Drives across the near side. Sends it all the way across. Gets into Wesley's hands. Wesley on the far side gets the screen. Drives the top of the key back to Galladay. Takes the three and is able to drain that one. Trojans now on the way. Goes to the top of the key. Picks it up. Sends it to the far side as Tex looking to set up the play. Tex gets it to Vandestall. Vandestall look to drive but pulls back. Goes all the way across. Underneath now to Weldon. Sends it back over to Vandestall. Takes the three and is able to drain that one. Full court press. Sends it to the near side, and Smart takes the three. Not able to get it to drop in. Rebound underneath by Emerson. And she goes up. And it's out of bounds off of the Warriors. So the Trojans with the inbound. Brings it to the near side. Back over the top of the key with Tex. Tex gets it to Vandestall underneath the turnaround jumper. Not able to get that one to drop in. Rebound was by Emerson. Goes to the top of the key. Emerson tries to drive in, and she draws the foul on the way. So that is the third team foul for the Trojans. Second personal foul for Nora Haynes. First attempt is up and good. Claire Emerson. Now we have several players come out. We'll see who we have. Gregg's in. Hancock's in. Galladay's in. Second attempt. That one's off the mark. Rebound by the Trojans. Comes to the near side. Gets it in underneath. Sends it to the far side. The three-point by Vandestall. It's off the mark. Rebound by Emerson. Emerson driving. Goes to the near side. Hancock picks it up. Gets the screen by Gregg. Loses control. Is able to pick it up before it goes across. Sends it forward to Galladay on the far side. Galladay back out to Emerson. Takes the three. That one's short. Ends up going and retrieved by Vandestall. Back over to the near side. Oh, but stolen on the pass. That pass is stolen by Edie. She drives in. Tries to put it up. Not able to do anything. Goes out of bounds and turnover to the Trojans. 20-9, 2:52 left of the first half. Warriors with the lead. Across the key. Tom comes to the far side. Bounce pass underneath. And that is the first team foul of the second period for the Warriors. First personal foul for Olivia Wesley. Trojans with the inbound. Send it to the top of the key as Krebs sends it to the far side. Underneath, the turnaround jumper doesn't go in by Fehrenbusch and ends up being a jump ball, and that is a Warrior basketball. Galladay gets it across to Hancock. Hancock back over to Galladay. Galladay at the top of the key. Comes across. Gets to Wesley. Wesley driving in. Picks it up. Sends it back out. Galladay at the top. Drives in. Gets it back out to Wesley. Wesley now driving in. Sends it all the way across to Edie. Edie back to Galladay. Galladay sends it over to Edie. Edie puts it up. Not able to get it to go in. And we have a shot clock violation. Turnover to the Trojans. Vanosdal gets it in underneath. Pass gets up and in for Fairbrush. Goes across. Galladay now. Actually, tries to get it underneath to Emerson. Not able to get it to drop in. Turnover to the Trojans. Krebs gets it over underneath. It's stolen away. So Wesley trying to take it down court. She gets pushed. So that is the fourth team foul. First personal foul for Ava Krebs. Warriors with the inbound. Galladay drops it in to Edie. Edie over to Emerson. Emerson drives in, draws the foul. That's the fifth team foul, and that's putting the Warriors into the bonus. Second personal foul for Stukenholz. 1 minute left of the half. First attempt is off to the left. So Molinder comes in as well as Smart for the Warriors. Second attempt off the mark. But rebound is in the Warriors' hand. The pass goes underneath and is taken away by the Trojans. Vanosdal sends it to Stukenholz, sets it up for three. Rebound by the Trojans and ends up able to put it in. That's Fairbrush. Going in, Smart sends it all the way across. Goes into the hands of Edie. Tries to put it up, but rebound by the Trojans. Top of the key. 14 seconds. Comes all the way across. Pass is taken away as we see Smart drives up, puts it up and in. 5 seconds left. 22-13. And time ran out before the shot was complete. We'll take a halftime and come back with more basketball right here on BSDN Live, WDCNEmedia.com, Saunders County Online, WahooRadio.com, and Wahoo Public Schools YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's your cakewalk numbers. Number 15. Number 2. Number 19. Number 10. Number 8. Number 12. And number 18. Yes. And again, members of the Wahoo High School student have a chance to dollars. Members of the Wahoo High School senior class will have a chance to win $1,000 scholarship in Wahoo Dental Association's Wahoo Public Schools Foundation Scholarship Shot Contest. Attempting to qualify for the scholarship by winning a layup, a free throw, and a three-point shot in 30 seconds. It's Tim Yachts and Gracie Peterson. Fans, let's give us a glory.
We're at halftime as the Warriors taking on the Trojans. The Warriors ladies leading 22-13. After this game, we'll have the boys. And that'll be all right here. We're working on some camera issue we had with the center camera, but I think we fixed all that. So nice and smooth going in the future. Want to say thank you to all of the sponsors that are part of the Warrior Booster Club. Tonight's game is brought to us by Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. We also want to say thank you to sponsors including JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon and Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Nice crowd coming in on a Friday night of basketball. Great night for that. Again, tomorrow we will be broadcasting on WDCNEmedia.com and BSDNlive.com as the Warriors will be going to visit the DC West Falcons. You can catch both varsity boys and girls tomorrow right here. We'll continue to bring all of the Warrior coverage to you all season long as we again say thank you to all the sponsors. All right. Band's got everybody roaring to go. Trojans taking every second of the halftime, getting ready, make the adjustments that they need to make. Trojans will do the inbound. Stepping out of Stukenholtz, gets it into Vanderstal. Goes to near side. Vanderstal gets it in underneath, back to Vanderstal. Takes the three. Off the mark, rebound by Wesley for the Warriors. Drives across, gets it underneath, and Edie puts it up and in for two. Trojans back on the way on the near side. Mandel gets it in underneath, stolen away by Edie now, but back up. Gets it to Galladay. Galladay gets it to Wesley. Wesley back to Galladay. Galladay to Wesley. Wesley gets it over to Edie. Edie back to Galladay. Underneath to Emerson. Looked at it, but back out to Edie. Hancock to Galladay. Back to Emerson. Puts it up for two. 26-13, 6:50 left of the third period. Trojans turn around. The jumper is up but off the mark, and the rebound ends up in the hands and sent forward by Smart. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, by Wesley. Follow up, and that is two more, and with that, there's a timeout called. It's a full timeout. Again, I want to say thank you to all of the sponsors part of our broadcasts. Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. We also want to say thank you to JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. We are into the third period. Warrior ladies leading over the Trojans 28-13. Trojans took a timeout. Trojans ball coming out of the timeout. And they are sending back Mandel to send it in to Vanisdal. Gets across the timeline, sends it back over to Mandel. Mandel, Vanisdal. Underneath to Weldon, back to Vanisdal. Or underneath, back again, back to Vanisdal on the near side. Drives in, bounce pass underneath. Stuffed and taken away. As we see Edie driving, but caught from behind. The ball gets knocked out of bounds, stays with the Warriors. Galladay with the inbound. Gets it up underneath and to Emerson. Sends it back out to Galladay. Galladay to Emerson on the near side. Hancock drives across the top of the timeline. Gets it to Wesley. Wesley back over to Edie. Edie back looking for help. Loses the pass. Gets sent over to the Trojans and going up and able to drop it in is Bria Weldon. Off to the far side. Gets back to Galladay at the top of the key. Calling the play. Gets it to the near side for Wesley. Wesley underneath to Edie. Puts it up and in for two. Vanisdal at the top of the key. Pass goes across and picked up by Mandel. Looking for help underneath to Vanisdal. Vanisdal hands it across and out of bounds with, I believe that's Krebs that held the ball out of bounds for the Trojans. So the inbound now is for the Warriors. Emerson inbounds to Galladay. Galladay gets it to Hancock. Hancock back over to Galladay. Galladay looking for help to Hancock. Gets across the timeline. Underneath and the pass underneath and inside to Emerson gets trapped, and so it's a jump ball, but the jump balls look like they've been favoring the Warriors pretty much all game. Inbound goes to the near side to Edie. Edie, Wesley to Galladay. Galladay at the top of the key. Galladay to Wesley. Wesley's on the near side. Top of the key, goes across. Galladay tries to drive in, and the ball's taken away. It gets back in the hands of the Warriors. Pass in underneath to Emerson. Draws the foul. So that's the first foul, the first team foul for the Trojans, and the second personal foul for Stalick. Galladay inbounds to Emerson. Emerson gets across to Edie. Edie to Wesley. Pass gets stolen away. Going forward, putting it up. Stukenholtz tries to put it up and gets called for the charge. So turnover back over to the Warriors. That's Stukenholtz's third personal foul, second team foul. Galladay picks up the ball looking for help, gets it over to Hancock. Hancock sends it to Wesley up on top. Goes across to the far side to Edie. Now to Galladay. Wesley sends it back over to Emerson. Emerson drives in. Pulls back, looking for help. Bounce pass underneath to Wesley. Puts it up. Not able to get it to drop in. Battle for the ball, and the call is against the Warriors. The first personal foul for Hancock, and first team foul of the third period. Trojans with the inbound. 3:56 left of the third period. Warriors leading 30-15. Sends it in underneath. Back over to the far side. Stolen away. Driving up, and Smart able to put it up and in. (32-15). Vanisdahl sends it to the near side to Stukenholtz. Stukenholtz bounce pass underneath to Weldon. All the way back over to Vanisdahl on the far side. Vanisdahl gets the screen, sends it to Stukenholtz on the near side. Stukenholtz looked to bounce pass, but stolen away. Sends it forward to Galladay. Galladay gets it across the timeline, drives, pulls back at the free throw line, sends it back over, comes to the near side. Galladay now to Smart. Smart at the top. Drives over to Galladay. Galladay. Ball's tapped back to the backcourt, and timeout is called by the Warriors as they wanted to avoid the travel, and it's a full timeout. So we're going to hear from the band right now. Thank them for being a part of what's going on right here at Wahoo. We're in the third period. Warriors leading over the Trojans 32-15. Warriors with the inbound. Inbound to Galladay. Galladay sends it forward, but trying to get it in the hands of Hancock, but it gets knocked out of bounds again off of the Trojans' hands, so stays with the Warriors. Galladay now with the ball. Drives across, sends it to the far side. 3-point attempt is not in time, so shot clock violation. Turnover back to the Trojans. Trojans get it into Vanisdahl. Sends it near side as we have Krebs. Gets it back to the top for Mandel. Mandel back over to Vanisdahl. Vanisdahl to Krebs. Krebs bounce pass to Mandel underneath, but taken away by the Warriors. Galladay with the ball. Setting up the play. Gets it to Hancock on the near side. She gets the screen, turns around, picks up the ball looking for help. Gets it over to Mollander. Mollander to Galladay with a three, and that one's off the mark. And off of the attempt by Claire Emerson for the retrieval, but so ends up turnover to the Trojans. Trojans get it to Vanisdahl. Vanisdahl sends it to the near side to Haynes. Haynes puts it up, and rebound by Gregg for the Warriors. Warriors hands it off to Galladay. Calling the play. Goes to the left wing. Back over to Gregg at the right wing. Hancock looking for help. Gets it to Edie, now to Wesley. Wesley to Gregg. Gregg gets it crossed to Galladay, takes the three, and that one is off the mark. Rebound by the Trojans. So Krebs takes it down the court. Bounce pass underneath to Fehrenbush. Puts it up and draws the foul. So that is sending her to the free throw line. That is the second team foul, first personal foul for Karen Edie. First attempt, that's a little hard, bounces off the back of the rim. So Edie comes out, is replaced by Emerson. Attempt number 2 is up and good. Inbound, gets to Galladay. Galladay, full press, gets it over to Hancock. Hancock, back to Galladay. Galladay, forward to Emerson. Emerson, back to Galladay, playing the call. Calling the play, sorry. Goes to the left wing. Sends it back over to Emerson. Emerson to Hancock on the right wing. Emerson to Greg. Greg to Wesley. Wesley drives in, puts it up, and is able to drop it in for 2. Trojans bounces off of the leg of Galladay, so it stays with the Trojans. 24 seconds left of the third period. 34-16, Warriors with the lead. Trojans on the near side, send it across to the left wing. Far left corner, 3-point attempt, rims out. Greg with the ball, hands it off to Galladay. Galladay goes down court, sends it forward, puts it up and in. That is Emerson, or Edie. Edie with the 2 points. And at the buzzer, the ball's put up, but not able to drop in. So after 3 complete, Lady Warriors 36, Lady Trojans 16. Again, we want to say thank you to all of the sponsors, part of the broadcast that we bring to you right here on BSDN Live, Saunders County Online YouTube, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, and WahooRadio.com. Tonight's game is sponsored by Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. All of the sponsors, part of the Wahoo Athletic Booster Club, include JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Well, we're about to start the 4th period. And the Warriors with the inbound. Galladay picks up the ball, gets it in underneath to Edie. Edie hands it off to Emerson, drives in, puts it up, and is able to get it to drop in for 2. Vandesdahl with the ball goes to the near side to Stukenholtz. Stukenholtz back to Vandesdahl in the right wing. Underneath to Haynes. Back out to Vandesdahl. Vandesdahl sends it across to Weldon. Weldon drives in, picks it up, gets it over to Stukenholtz. Comes all the way across, gets it in underneath. Putting it up is Haynes, able to drop it in for 2. Inbound for the Warriors. Driving across. Emerson is able to go all the way in and draws the foul as she goes up. So that is the first team foul for the 4th period for the Trojans. 3rd personal foul for Haynes. First attempt is up and it bounces out. Second attempt up, and that one rims out. Rebound by the Trojans. They send it forward to Vandesdahl. Picks it up, goes to Stukenholtz. Back to Vandesdahl on the top of the key. Stukenholtz on the right wing. Bounce pass underneath. Back over to Stukenholtz. Stukenholtz gets it in underneath. The jumper, 2-point jumper by Bria Weldon. 38-20. Warriors with the lead. Looking for help. gets it forward, sends it all the way across down to Hancock, who sets up the play. Hancock to Wesley. Wesley gets it underneath to Emerson, and Emerson draws the foul. And that's going to send her to the free throw line. That is the third personal foul for Brooklyn Stalick for the Trojans, and the second team foul for the fourth period. First attempt is up and good. Next attempt up, and that is also good. Trojans with the inbound. Vanisdal. Turn around, gets it to the left wing. Bounce pass underneath. Stolen away by Edie. Drives up, puts it up. Not able to get it to put in, and the foul is going to be called against, I believe, Emerson on that one. Yep, that's her second personal foul. First team foul for the fourth period. 6:03 left of the game. Warriors 40, Trojans 20. Sent across to the far side as Mandel sends it underneath. Bounce pass gets in to Stalick, who's able to put it up for two. Wesley passes back over to Galladay. Galladay back to Wesley. Wesley gets to Galladay. Galladay to Emerson. Emerson to Galladay at the top of the key. Now to Wesley on the left wing. Underneath to Edie, who's able just to put a nice layup in. 42-22. Goes to the far side. Three-point attempt off the mark, and the rebound ends up in Wesley's hand for the Warriors. Trying to drive across the court. Gets pushed out of bounds off of Bria Weldon, so it stays with the Warriors. Inbound goes to Galladay. Sends to the far side as Wesley gets it back to Galladay. Galladay to Hancock. Hancock looks at the three. Dribbles across, gets the screen, sends it over to Wesley. Wesley looking for help. Back over to Galladay on the near side. Underneath to Emerson, puts it up and in for two. (44-22). Stukenholtz with the ball for the Trojans. Gets back out to the top of the key. Driving in is Weldon. Puts it up. Taken away by Emerson. Emerson gets it over to Galladay. Galladay down the court. 4:20 left. Sends to the far side to Wesley. Wesley gets it to Edie. Edie to Hancock. Hancock's good to Galladay. Takes the three and drains it. So Galladay with a three. Trojans now on the attack. Goes on the far side. Back up to Vanisdal. Vanisdal to Mandel. Mandel underneath. Rebound by the Warriors. Galladay drives across the timeline. Sends it to Wesley, and a timeout is called. So 3:41 left of the game. Warriors lead 47-22. Again, let's say thank you as we have a minute. It's a full timeout here. Game sponsors tonight, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. All of the Warrior Athletic Boosters sponsors include JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic and Acupuncture, Rivalry, we're your biggest fans, Berkshire Hathaway Home Ambassadors, Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Well, we have just a little bit of this game left, and then coming up yet tonight, we have the boys taking on The Warrior boys taking on the Trojans. Once tonight is complete, then tomorrow in the cold, we will be heading our way to DC West. Warriors with the inbound. Gets it to Galladay. Galladay crosses back to the timeline. Goes to the right wing. Tries to get it underneath. Pass goes off of Emerson's fingertips. Turnover to the Trojans. Trojans inbound. Sends it to Stukenholtz on the left wing. Stukenholtz tries to make the pass and tries to get it over to Weldon, but it ends up off her hands out of bounds. So it is turned over to the Warriors. Inbound goes to Galladay. Galladay trying to drive. Picks up the ball, looking for help. Double team. And Galladay draws the foul. So that is the second team foul. Another inbound for Galladay. Picks up the ball, looking for help. Sends it to the far side, gets it over to Roberts. Roberts back to Smart to Galladay. Galladay picks it up, looking for help. Over to Smart. Smart drives across the top of the key, hands it off to Emerson. Emerson to Galladay, and back to Emerson underneath, but stolen away. Driving in, putting it up, drawing the foul. Doesn't get the shot to drop, but going in is Rhea Weldon. Draws the foul. That's the second team foul. First personal foul for Talion Roberts. Attempt is no good on the first one. Greg and Wesley's coming in, replacing Emerson, Smart. Mollander coming out. Hancock coming out. So let's see, who else do we have out there? Second attempt, no good. And the rebound is rescued by the Trojans. A three-point attempt, that one's short. And is rebound by Galladay. Galladay picks up the ball, gets it forward, sends it forward, gets it underneath to Greg. Greg sends it back to Galladay. Galladay looking for the screen. The pass gets deflected over to Wesley. Wesley at the top of the key. Gets it in underneath to Edie. Edie passes it across and goes out of bounds off of a tip from the Trojans, so it stays with the Warriors. 2:04 left of the game, 47-22. Lady Warriors with a lead. Galladay inbounds, gets to Wesley. Wesley to Greg, then back to Galladay. Galladay sends it to Greg, all the way across over to Roberts. Roberts takes the three. Actually, no, that was Edie taking the three. Shot clock turnover to the Trojans. Galladay comes out. Hancock comes in for the Warriors. Trojans also replace some players. Goes to the left wing. Passes across to the right wing. Underneath. Gets it over. Back out to the right wing. Driving to the top of the key. Turn around. As we see Tex try to pass in. Able to get it over to Fernbruch. Gets into the lane. Puts it up. Not able to get it to drop in. Rebound is not able to be contained. Ends up becoming a jump ball. And the jump ball possession arrow goes to the Trojans. A minute 21 left of the game. 47-22. Trojans with the inbound as Krebs inbounds, but stolen away. And that is taken away by Lacey. Lacey, and then sends it to the far side as Smart. Goes back to Lacey, back over to Smart. Comes to the near side as Roberts drives in, puts it up, off the mark, rebound by the Trojans. 57 seconds left. Off to the near corner, three-point attempt, wide open, is able to drain that one. That was Ava Krebs. Battle at center court. And that one is the fourth team foul for the Warriors. First personal foul for Addie Gregg. Trojans gets it in underneath, over to the right wing. Bounce pass underneath. Nice open layup right there by Ava Krebs. Warriors send it forward. Gets it over to Beasley. Beasley underneath. Comes all the way across. Three-point attempt. That one's off the mark. Rebound by the Trojans. Trojans drive in the lane. Puts it up and is able to drop it in. 5 seconds left. And with that, the game is over. And the Warriors win 47-29. Coming up in a few minutes, we have the boys taking the courts. Before we take a little break and listen to the band, again, want to say thank you to sponsors. Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters, tonight's game's sponsors. Also say thank you to sponsors like JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, and Retire Path Advisors. Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic and Acupuncture, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shut Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Keep it right here. We'll turn the audio off or let you hear the background noise, but for a little bit, we're going to take a break and get ready for Warrior Boys basketball as they take on the Trojans right here on bsdnlive.com, Saunders County Online, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, and wahooradio.com. Well, we're just a couple minutes away from Warrior basketball taking on the Trojans Platteview, as we have a big game before us tonight. I want to say thank you to sponsors. Tonight's game sponsors, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. That's the game sponsors. We also want to say thank you to JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Well, tonight we have the 8-3 Warriors taking on the 7-6 Platteview. Going to be a tough game. Going to be a good game. Just make sure, see how everything lays out. Let's take a quick look at some of the stats, starting off with the Trojans. Points per game leader is Owen Truffholtz, 16 points per game. As well as field goal percentage is Levi Uke, 48%. Rebounds per game, Owen Truffholtz, 9.1. Assists per game, Sully Vanisdal, 2.5 per game. Steals per game, Sully Vanisdal, 2.7. Blocks per game, Levi Uke, 2.6. The free throw percentage is Sully Vanderstal, 78%. 3-point field goal percentage leader is Levi Uke at 33%. Overall points leader, Owen Truffholtz, 208 points so far this season. Now back for the Warriors. Taking a look at their stats, points per game leader, Cody Hesser, leading 17.6. Field goal percentage is Cody Hesser, also 52%. Cody Hesser leads rebounds per game, 8.3. Jace Kaminsky leading assists per game, 3.9. Steals per game goes to Cody Hesser, 1.5. Blocks per game, Cody Hesser, 0.8. Jace Kaminsky leading with 70% free throw percentage. 3-point percentage is Cody Hesser at 42%. And Cody Hesser, total 176 points. Let's go ahead and let's see. We have for the Trojans, Owen Truffholtz, 6'4" senior. Also, we have Will Osborne, 5'11" senior. Sully Vanisdal, 6'2" senior. Sam Steele, 6'2" sophomore. And wrapping it up with Levi Uke, 6'8" senior. All right, starting lineup for the Warriors, starting off with the 6'4" sophomore Landon Glock. Number 2, 5'11" senior Kit Brigham. Number 4, 5'10" senior Jace Kaminsky. Number 5, the 6'5" senior Cody Hesser, and wrapping it up with the 6'4" senior, number 23, Eli Shada. Let's get some basketball going on as the Warriors take on the Trojans. Right here on BSDNLive.com, Saunders County Online YouTube, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, WahooRadio.com. Want to make sure it's covered very, very well. Cody Hesser stepping up and facing off against Levi Uke as the tip-off is about ready to go. The ball is up in the air, and it is won by the Trojans. Trojans, they have Vanderzal. Gets it over to Uke. Uke does a cross and now back down into Osborne. Osborne gets all the way across to the near side of Vanderzal. Vanderzal back to Truffholtz. Truffholtz to Uke. Uke gets over, and a three-pointer by Osborne drains it. Hesser drives down, sends it to the near side as we see Brigham. Brigham gets it back over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky gets it back to the top. Hesser drives in, pulls back, looking for help, gets it back over, then all the way out to Shada. Shada to Brigham. Brigham drives in, back over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky puts it up and is not able to drop in. Going for the rebound, and Shada gets called for the foul. First personal foul and first team foul. 7 minutes left, 3-0. And Hesser steals the inbound, is able to put that up for 2. Full court press. Gets it across, sends it forward to Truffholtz. Truffholtz gets it, sends it to Osborne. Osborne bounces it off his foot, goes out of bounds. Turnover to the Warriors. Warriors send it inbound to Kaminsky. Kaminsky takes it across the timeline. Goes to the near side as Glock drives in, puts it up for 2, and is able to drop it in. Full court press. Back out and stolen away. Brigham sends it forward to Hesser. Hesser is able to put it up for 2. Now, again, full court press by the Warriors. Sending it to the near side. Puts it up for 2, and that was Schramm able to get it to drop in. Kaminsky on the far side. Comes all the way across. Underneath to Shada, turnaround jumper, drops it in for 2. Suddenly, Warriors 8-5. Trojans at the top of the key. Gets it back over to Truffholtz. Truffholtz sends it across to Vanderzal. Able to drop the 3. Ties it up at 8. Back out to Hesser. Hesser looks to drive in, turn around, jumper, and just a little too light on that one. Forward pass comes over to the near side, and Shea taken away by the Warriors. Get it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky draws the foul. It's the first team foul. First personal foul by Vanderzal. Hesser inbounds. Hesser underneath it is able to put it up and drop it in for 2. Vanderstal passes it over, gets it to Truffholtz. Truffholtz sends it to the near side, a steal Puts it up. Taken away by the Warriors. Gets over to Hesser. Hesser drives in the lane. He goes up and draws the foul. So that is the second team foul and first personal foul for Sam Steele. Cody Hesser at the foul line. First attempt is good. (11 to 8). Warriors with the lead. Second attempt. That is also good. 12 to 8. Warriors backed off the pressure a little bit. Trojans end up getting it taken away, going up, but Hesser is able to grab it away as it was denied. Hesser back out to Shada. Shada gets all the way across, and 3-point by Kaminsky. Trojans now putting something together here on the far side. Goes all the way across to the near side. Vanisdal with the ball on the left wing. Back to the top for Osborne. Osborne sends it over. 3-point by Truffholtz. Rebound is and underneath by Uke. 15 to 11, and a timeout has been taken. Again, we want to say thank you to sponsors. As we know, this is a big game right here for both teams, determining where they kind of land as we get closer to tournament season. Tonight's game is brought to us by Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. We also want to say thank you to all the sponsors, including JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith's Builders, Simon's Home Stroller, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Warriors with the inbound. They get it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky gets it across the timeline to Hesser on the near side. Back out to Shada. Shada goes all the way across to Kaminsky. Tries to pass into Hesser and gets knocked out of bounds by the Trojans. So Kaminsky out to inbound. Gets it out to Glock. Glock back to Kaminsky. Kaminsky takes a three, and that one's long. Hesser with the rebound. Back to Glock. Glock takes a three and is able to drain it. 18 to 11, 2:58 left of the first period. Trojans come across to the near side. Looking for the screen, drives in. Truffholtz, turnaround jumper, is able to put it up and in. Inbound, gets back over to Brigham. Brigham gets across the timeline, goes to the top of the key. Hesser on the left wing, underneath to Shada. Kaminsky driving in, tries to put it up, gets knocked out of bounds off the Trojans, so it stays with the Warriors. Inbound for the Kaminsky, gets it all the way out to Glock. Glock immediately takes the three and just off the mark. Turnover to the Trojans. Goes to put it up and able to maintain control of the Trojans. Looking for help. Goes over to the right wing. Jumper at the free throw line and it rims out. Taken by Hesser. Hesser sends it forward to Shada. Shada with the nice layup. Drops it in for two. 20 to 13. Minute 56 left of the first period. Truffholtz sends it all the way across to Smith. Smith. Almost gets taken away by Hesser. Back over to Truffholtz. Smith now to Vansdal. Drives in the lane. Sends it across. 3-point is up. And that one bounces out. Rebound by the Warriors. Glock underneath to Shada. Shada sends it out to Hesser. Hesser comes across to Brigham. Brigham to Kaminsky. Kaminsky sends it to the top for Shada. Shada hands off and gets the screen. Kaminsky puts it up, but it's able to be picked up by Shada, who's able to put it up and in. .55 seconds left of the first period. Pass gets knocked out of bounds. That one's off of Bringham's hands, so stays with the Trojans. 22-13, 52.6 seconds left of the first period. Inbound goes straight out to Truffholtz. Truffholtz sends it all the way across to Smith. Foul, pass underneath, going to Uke. Draws the foul, so that is the second team foul and second personal foul for Shada for the Warriors. Inbound goes across, gets out to Smith. Smith underneath to Truffholtz. Truffholtz tries to turn around, puts it up, draws the foul, does not make the basket. So he's going to go to the free throw line for 2 attempts. That is the second team foul. First attempt is up, and that one bounces out. Second attempt is up, and that's good. Inbound goes to Hesser for the Warriors. He gets across the timeline on the far side. Hesser on the left wing, picks it up, gets it all the way across. Clock tries to drive in, draws the foul. So that's the third team foul for the period for the Trojans. The second personal foul, that goes against Sully Vanisdal. Kaminsky comes in to inbound. Kaminsky looking for help, gets it out to Brigham. 26 seconds. Shot clock and the regular clock match. Kaminsky taking his time, setting it up, looking to make this the last shot of the period. Back over to Brigham. Kaminsky to Hesser. 6 seconds left. Hesser drives in. Turn around, loses control of that. And not able to do anything with it. The end of the first period, the Warriors lead 22-14. Again, tonight's game is sponsored by Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters is the corporate sponsor for tonight's game. We also want to say thank you to all of the sponsors that are a part of the Wahoo Athletic Booster Club. JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. All right, we're about ready to start the second period. Again, going into the second period, Warriors lead by 8, 22-14. Warriors with the inbound. Clock inbounds to Brigham. To Kaminsky. Kaminsky gets it to Shada. Shada back to Kaminsky. Kaminsky at the top of the key. Bounce pass over to Glock. Glock immediately takes the turnaround jumper. 3 is drained. Trojans on the far side. Smith gets it over to Truffholtz. Truffholtz in the lane, back over. Loses control, taken away by Warriors. That was actually Hesser. Sends it forward and pass loses control, goes out of bounds. Turnover back over. It goes to the Trojans, and the Trojans take the timeout. This is a short timeout, so we will just go ahead and take a little breather. Again, it's great to have everybody involved and part of our broadcasts as we continue on right here on WDCNEmedia.com. Tomorrow, that will be the home for the DC West versus Wahoo game. Yep, we'll be traveling over there as we do coverage for them. You also watch that on BSDNlive.com. Saunders County Online, Wahoo Public Schools YouTubes, and WahooRadio.com. 25-14, 11-point lead for the Warriors. 7:22 left of the first half. Trojans with the inbound, gets it over to Truffholtz. Truffholtz sends it in to Steele. Cross to Vandersal. Looks at the three, puts it up, and it's too hard, but gets his own rebound. And then comes in, drops it in for two. 25-16. Shada gets it out to Kaminsky. Kaminsky to Hesser. Hesser on the right, Glock on the right wing. He gets called for the charge. So turnover back over to the Trojans. Inbound. Goes across to the far side as Steele hands it back off to Truffholtz. Truffholtz gets it to Smith. Smith sends it to the far side. Underneath to Uke. Uke back over to Smith. Puts up the three and is able to drain it. 25-19. Comes over the near side. Brigham gets it in underneath to Kaminsky. Kaminsky looking for help. And they say it goes off, out of bounds off of Kaminsky. So a turnover to the Trojans. Trojans making a good comeback at this point in time. Truffholtz gets it across the timeline. Hands it off, gets it back to Truffholtz on the left wing. Truffholtz hands it across to Steele. Drives in, puts it up, draws the foul. He's not able to get it to drop in, but he's able to go to the free throw line. That is the second team foul, first personal foul for Kip Brigham. First attempt is up and good. Cut it down from an 11-point lead to a 5-point lead at this point. Brigham comes out, is replaced by Hancock. Second attempt, that's up, and that comes out. Rebound by Glock. Glock gets it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky takes it down the court, gets across the timeline. Hesser has it on the left wing. Hesser goes moving across, gets to Shada. Shada down to Glock. Brigham. All right. And that didn't get called for that contact, but turnover. Comes across to the near side. Out of bounds off the Trojans. Inbound gets to Hesser. Hesser gets it across the timeline. Passes it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky looking to set the play. Back to Shada. Shada over to Hancock. Hancock takes the three. That one bounces out. Rebound by the Trojans. They get it over to Vanisdal. Vanisdal sends it to the near side. Uke with the shot, and so now it's 25-22. Warriors take a timeout, and they take a full timeout. So let's go ahead and say thank you to all the sponsors again. Part of the Wahoo Athletic Booster Club. Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. Also want to say thank you to JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Tomorrow's going to be a chilly day. Tell by the sun dogs I saw earlier today. So you can stay in if you're wanting to stay warm. We'll bring the game tomorrow to you as the Warriors travel to DC West. That can be seen on WDC Any Media, as well as Saunders County Online YouTube. Nice jumper right in the middle with the very little coverage Kaminsky able to get to drop in. Sends it to Smith. Smith sends it all the way across to the far side. And Uke draws the foul. That's the third team foul for the Warriors, a third personal foul against Eli Shada. So Shada comes out as well as Hancock. Going in, we have Joey Kelly. See how, look, turnaround jumper by Truffholtz, able to drop it in for two. Warriors, 3-point lead. Kaminsky bounce pass underneath to Kelly. Kelly tries to send it across to Glock, but it's taken away by Smith for the Trojans. Trojans get it over. Truffholtz goes to the near side. Driving in, and Warriors able to take it away. Get it over to Hesser. Hesser driving in. Picks it up, looking for help. Gets it back out to Kaminsky. Kaminsky tries to pass it in, and that is taken away. Going up and able to drop it in. Truffholtz, difficult shot right there. 1 point separates the two teams, and Warriors are called for the foul underneath. Oh, wait, what is that? No, actually the Trojans caused the foul. So that is the first personal foul for Quinn Smith, first team foul. Maybe get it back out to Brigham. Brigham gets it underneath to Kelly, who's able to drive in and drop it in for two. Trojans on the far side get it over across to Glock to Smith. Smith gets it back out. Gets underneath to Smith with a jumper. Is able to put it in for two. (29-28), 2:41 left in the first half. Kaminsky. The ball gets tipped away, taken away by the Trojans. Trojans get it over to Truffholtz on the near side. Send it back over. Truffholtz. Smith. Smith takes the three, and that's off the mark. Rebound by Hesser, and he gets knocked in the back of the head, so he draws the foul, and that foul goes against Steele. Yep, second personal foul for Steele, second team foul. .220 left of the first half. 1 point separates the two teams. Warriors at one point were ahead by 11. Trojans have worked their way back. Bring them inbounds to Kaminsky. Gets across the timeline, goes to the top of the key. Drives in, picks up the ball, bounce pass, just not able to get it past. Rims out. Rebound is by Vandesal, not able to go up. Warriors with the rebound, that is Brigham, able to bring it in, put it across. Kelly with a three-point, drains it. 32-28. 4-point lead now for the Warriors. Daly inbound in for the Trojans, gets it across to Truffholtz. Truffholtz gets it over to Daly. Daly driving in, hands it back to Smith. Smith over to Truffholtz on the left wing. Truffholtz driving in the lane, and as he goes in, he draws the foul, and the foul is called against Landon Glock. So that sends Owen Truffholtz to the free throw line. The attempt is up, and that is hard, comes off the back of the rim. Second attempt up, and that one is good. Inbound, gets over. Kaminsky now with the ball. Picks up the ball, looking for help. Bounce pass underneath to Brigham. Brigham sends it across over to Hancock. Hancock to Brigham. Brigham to Kaminsky. Kaminsky bounce pass underneath. It's those dangerous passes that have been really been an issue for them. So taking a high-risk pass. And they've been caught on that several times by the Trojans. 32-29, 55.8 seconds left of the first half. Inbound goes across to Smith. Smith gets it to Truffholtz on the top of the key. Truffholtz drives in, looking for help. Passes it in underneath to Daly. Daly. It goes out of bounds. Turnover to the Warriors. Kelly to inbound. Gets it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky crosses the timeline. Calls the play. Picks up the ball. That's bounce pass. He is just not able to do anything with it. But coming in, Brigham able to knock the ball out of the hands. Goes out of bounds, but saves the play. Trojans with the inbound, 27.9 seconds, 32-29. Inbound goes across. Truffholtz goes up. The layup not able to go in, but draws the foul. That's the fifth team foul. Puts the Trojans in the bonus category. Owen Truffholtz at the free throw line for the Trojans. First attempt is up, and that is good. 32-30, Warriors with a lead, 21.5 seconds left. Looks like we're back to the original starting lineup for the Warriors. Second attempt, and that is good. So 1 point separate the two teams. Inbound to Kaminsky. Kaminsky across the timeline. Pulls back, drives across, drives in the lane. Bounce pass underneath. Teixeira is able to put it up and in. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Not able to get it to drop in. Wrapping up the first half, 34-31. Warriors with the lead. part of that. The Warriors were able to hold on to the lead the entire half, but they did have an 11-point lead at one point. Trojans were able to reduce that back down to 1 point, and at the end, Warriors now with a 3-point lead, 34-31. Again, let's say thank you to all of the sponsors, part of the Wahoo Athletic Booster Club. Great participants and supporters of the school, the students, and the athletes. Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. We also want to say thank you to JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway, Ambassador Real Estate Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Now we have the dance team, and we're going to do the best to be able to have as much music as possible, but due to copyright issues with YouTube, we have to be careful on such things.
Good evening. Each year, the Wahoo Public Schools Foundation contributes funds towards the Innovator Educator Grant Program. Teachers can apply for funding to support innovation in the classroom, and the foundation then chooses to award grants fees annually. Representing the foundation board tonight are Mike Hancock and Sidney Apple. The recipients of the grant funds this school year include Crystal Walcott, Eric Emerson, John Herrera, Andy Klepper, Peyton Lewis, Andrea Parson, and Megan Shea, along with Joel Ernie and Pleskotch, who were unable to attend. Congratulations to these staff members and a big thank you to the Wahoo Public Schools Foundation for their continued support of education, teachers, and students.
Welcome back. As well, you may have not been gone, but it was a good time to head to the refrigerator, get a snack, and be ready for the second half action as we have the Warrior Boys taking on the Trojans of Platteview right here on BSDNlive.com, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, Saunders County Online YouTube, WahooRadio.com. As we come back, Warriors lead 34-31. Game sponsor for tonight again is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. Continue to say thank you to support and sponsorship of the Wahoo Athletic Booster Club, students, the school, the athletes. Sponsors like JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, and Retire Path Advisors. Sid Dillon and Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. All right, we are back and ready to start the second half. Trojans will be inbounding. Truffholtz inbound, gets it in to Vandesdal. Back to Truffholtz. Truffholtz hands it off to Smith at the top of the key. Passes, goes across. Goes to the far side, and Vandesdal with a three-point attempt. Rebound by Hesser for the Warriors. Comes to the near side. Gets it underneath to Shada. Shada tries to go up. And they say it's contained by both teams, so it's a jump ball. Warriors with a possession arrow. Kaminsky to inbound. Kaminsky bounce pass underneath. Goes to Shada. Takes a 2-point jumper. Able to drop that in. 36-31. Vandesdal hands off to Smith. Smith to Truffholtz on the left wing. Drives in. The lane goes all the way across to Smith. Smith drives in. Puts the jumper up. Too hard. Rebound by Hesser for the Warriors. Drives in. Turns around. Gets the screen. Goes to Kaminsky. And he is able to get it to Shada. Shada drives in. Drops it in for two. Almost taken away by Hesser there. That pass goes out to the far side. Trojans get it to Truffholtz. Truffholtz goes to the near side, and Truffholtz takes the shot, but not able to get it to drop in. Hesser with a rebound. Goes to Kaminsky on the near side. Bounce pass underneath. Shada and loses control, goes out of bounds. It was tipped, but turnover to the Trojans. Trojans, they have Vandesdal. Gets it across to the near side to Truffholtz. Truffholtz goes to the top of the key to Smith. Smith to Truffholtz. Looked at the three. Pulls back, goes up and in, and it does not drop in. Rebound by Uke. Goes back out to the near side to Smith. Drains the three. And with that, we have a full timeout called by the Warriors. Again, so 6:12 left of the third period. Warriors lead 38-34. It's a big game for both teams as everybody's looking now at the second half of the season towards tournament. Where are they going to be able to fall, and are they going to be able to be in a position to host? Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. Also, we want to say thank you to all the sponsors, including JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, and Retire Path Advisors. Sid Dillon and Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shut Electrical and Contracting, Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Warriors with the inbound. Brigham to inbound to Kaminsky. Kaminsky takes it down court. Goes to the right side. Gets it to Hesser on the right wing. Hesser goes all the way across to Brigham to Kaminsky. Takes the three and is able to drain it. Trojans on the far side. Get it into Uke. Uke trying to drive in, looking for help. Passes back out to the top for Vandesdal. Vandesdal gets it over to Truffholtz for three. Kaminsky, top of the key, gets the screen, drives in, looking for help. Sends it across to Brigham. Brigham picks up the ball. Back out to Hesser. Hesser driving across to Shada. Shada gets it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky takes the three and is able to drain that one. And that brings in a timeout. So that's a 30-second timeout. Again, thank you for everybody being a part of all of our broadcasts. If you've missed any of the Warriors, you can certainly go back and watch that on Saunders County Online YouTube, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube. Coming up tomorrow, the Warriors travel to DC West to face off against the Falcons. A really big game there, too. Another tough team, and you can watch that on bsdnlive.com. Just click on the Falcons link. We'll also put that on Saunders County Online YouTube. Inbound. Sends it forward to Smith. Smith goes over to Uke. Uke takes a three. That's too hard. And ends up going out of bounds. Turnover back to the Warriors. Inbound goes to Jace Kaminsky. Kaminsky to Brigham. Brigham on the right wing. Gets into the lane. Bounce pass underneath Kaminsky. Kaminsky turns around and draws the foul. So that's the first team foul for the third period for the Trojans. Third personal foul for Vandesdahl. Inbound out to Glock. Takes the three. And that one comes out. Rebound by the Trojans. Trojans get it over to Truffles. Truffles driving in the lane. Turn around, jumper gets up. Does not drop in, but he does draw the foul. So that's the first team foul for the Warriors. And that is the second personal foul for Cody Hesser. That is sending Owen Truffles to the free throw line. First attempt is up, and that one bounces off to the right. Smith is replaced by Daly for the Trojans. Second attempt, and that one is good. Inbound goes to Kaminsky. Takes across the timeline. Looking for the screen. Comes in, stays at the top of the key. Bounce pass over to Glock. Glock driving into the lane. Sends over to Brigham on the near side. Back to Glock. Glock gets a screen. Takes the three. That one bounces, but Shada with a rebound. Sends it back out to Kaminsky. Kaminsky gets a Glock. Glock underneath to Shada. Shada tries to turn around. Shoved back at him and comes back around, and Brigham not able to drop the three. Trojans on the near side. Uke gets it back out. Sends it out to Steele. Daly goes out and then sends it back out to the far side. Vandesdahl with a three. Warriors get it out to Hesser. Hesser driving in the lane. Bounce pass for Brigham. Brigham to Shada. Shada takes a three. That one bounces back. Rebound by the Trojans. The pass stolen away by Hesser. Gets it up to Brigham. Nice alley-oop dunk to Hesser. Over the near side for the Trojans. 46-41, 2:50 left of the third period. Turn around, couple of steps there, didn't get called on it. Jumper, Brigham with the ball. Sends it forward to Hesser. Hesser drives in the lane, puts it up, gets his rebound, sends it back out. Brigham sends it across over to Glock. Glock sends it out to Kaminsky. Kaminsky drives the lane, puts it up, and that ends up off. We see Brigham trying to bring it in, but knocked out of bounds off of the Trojans, and so I believe that was actually, let's see, was that Uke that pushed it out of bounds? Turnover to the Warriors. Bounce pass underneath. Gets it out to Glock. Takes the three. It rims out, but rebound by Brigham. Over to Kaminsky, takes the three. And that one rims out. Uke with the rebound for the Trojans. Man, a lot of attempts there for the Warriors. They get it over to Truffles. Truffles goes to the left wing to Uke. Uke drives the lane. Turn around. Not able to get it to drop in. Rebound by Shada, and he draws the foul. And that foul is against Owen Truffles. So that is the second team foul, first personal foul for Truffles. Inbound goes to Kaminsky. Kaminsky setting up the play, and so we see a third team foul, second personal foul for Smith. Inbound gets to Shader. Shader driving in, but puts it over to Brigham. Brigham puts it up, not able to get it to drop in. Rebound by the Trojans. Trojans get it out to Truffles. Truffles goes to the right, to the left. Uke gets it back to Truffles. Truffles to the top of the key, driving in, looking for help. Turnaround jumper is short, and rebound by Shada gets. And that he was called for a travel, but I think that he was able to get rid of it before he traveled, but you can see better from the angle that you were at from the camera than I am. A pass inside, and he draws a foul against. That's the third personal foul for Cody Hesser. Inbound. Jumpers put up and in. Guarantee I'm going to go back and watch this from a different angle. See what happens there. It goes out of bounds, I say, off of the Warriors. So turnover to the Trojans. 46-43, 55 seconds left of the third period. Goes to the left side, gets the screen, comes to the near side, pushes back out. All the way to the top of the key, 3-point, and that one's off the mark. Rebound by Kaminsky. Kaminsky forwards it to Shada. Shada puts it up for two. Trojans. Pass goes in to Daly. Daly gets it off to Truffles. Truffles moves to the top of the key. 13 seconds. 48-43, 5-point lead. Draws the screen. Sets up, looking for help. Turnaround jumper, and that one's short. Rebound, goes back in, and at the buzzer, not able to get it to drop in. So that is where the third period ends. 48-43. Warriors hold on to the lead. Again, tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. Say thank you to all of the Wahoo Athletic Booster Club sponsors, sponsoring the students, the athletes, the school. Be able to continue to talk about them. You can see them always in the upper left-hand corner of all of our activities. Thank you for them. Because of them, we're able to continue to always bring you Warriors without having to pay for it. Free. That's our vow at bsdnlive.com. Saunders County Online is we never want you to have to pay to watch your kids. Well, it's about time to start the fourth period, and the Trojans will inbound. Inbound comes in to Vanderstall. goes into Uke. Uke back over to Vandestal. 3-point attempt, and that one bounces out. Taken away by Brigham. Brigham coming down in, sends it across to Glock. Glock picks it up, sends it back out to Hesser. Hesser underneath to Shada. Shada back out to Brigham. Brigham passes to Hesser as he moves in the lane. Back out to Brigham. Brigham to Shada. Shada with a turnaround jumper. It bounces out. Uke with the rebound. Sends it all the way forward. 3-point attempt, and that one is rebounded by Shada for the Warriors. Gets it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky, turn around, looking for the screen, sends it underneath to Brigham. Brigham underneath to Hesser. Hesser puts it up, draws the foul, is not able to drop it in, but is able to go to the free throw line for two. That is the first personal foul for Levi Uke. First team foul for the fourth period. 49-43, 6:54 left of the game. Hesser with one more attempt. And that is good. Inbound for the Trojans. Send it across the top of the key, back to the near side. Steele gets it back over to Smith. Smith drives the lane, loses control. Gets up underneath. Brigham puts the layup for two. (52-43). Back to a 9-point lead for the Warriors, and now we see a timeout called by the Trojans. It's a full timeout. Again, let's go ahead and say thank you to all the sponsors, part of the Wahoo Athletic Club Boosters. JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, Tim and Steph Molly Construction, and again, tonight's game sponsor, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. (52-43), 6:27 left of the game. Warriors with the lead. Trojans with the inbound. Smith looks like he's going to inbound. Comes to the near side, Uke with the ball. Passes over to Truffholtz. Truffholtz gets it to the far side. 3 points. Able to drop in by Steele. Shade on the near side. Gets it back out to Kaminsky. Kaminsky drives in. Gets it underneath to Brigham. The passes to Shada, but taken away by Uke. Uke gets it over to Truffholtz. Truffholtz to Vandestal. Back to the near side. Vandestal. Lose control. Turnover to the Warriors. Brigham. Yeah, Hesser. Hesser gets the screen. Back to Brigham. Brigham bounce pass underneath to Kaminsky. Kaminsky puts it up. Comes back out. Uke with a rebound for the Trojans. Passes it over. Hesser takes it out of bounds. Forward pass, trying to steal it. 5:15 left of the game. 52-46. Warriors with a 6-point lead. Inbound, comes back. Gets over to Truffles. Truffles looking for help. Gets it back over to Vanisdal. Drives in, pulls back to the three-point line. Driving in, loses control. Taken away. Called for a double dribble as Brigham stole it away. Crowd not happy with that one. Again, I think there's going to be a lot of people rewatching the game later on to see what was going on in this. Inbound gets over to Vanisdal. Vanisdal sends it to Smith. Smith to Uke. I'm sorry, that is now to Uke at the top of the key. Back over to Trifholtz. Trifholtz drives the lane. A lot of steps in there as well. Gets his own rebound, puts it up for two. Kaminsky comes in, picks it up, sends it across to Brigham on the far side. Underneath pass to Shada. Shada draws the foul. That's the second team foul for the Trojans. And that foul is the second personal foul for Owen Truffholtz. Bounce pass underneath to Shada, sends it out to Brigham. Brigham gets a screen. Calling the play. Turn around to the left side. Jumper, 2 points off, and he gets his own rebound. Sends it over to Hesser. Hesser driving in. Underneath, but Shada with the rebound and the fall away, 2. 54-48. Driving in, puts it up. Called with a charge, so does not get the points. So that is Sully Vanisdal's 4th personal foul. And that is a turnover over to the Warriors. Inbound to Kaminsky. Kaminsky gets across the timeline. Drives in the lane. The near side, picks it up. Gets it back out to Brigham. Brigham to Shada. Shada to Kaminsky at the top of the key. Kaminsky to Brigham. Brigham drives in, puts it up just too hard. Rebound, chased after, and goes out of bounds off of Brigham. Turnover to the Trojans. 54-48, 3:05 left. Vanisdal gets across the timeline, sends it forward to Smith. Smith sends it to Steele. Steele drives across to Uke. Uke back over to Truffholtz. Truffholtz drives in, turn around, looks for help. Tapped away, but Steele gets it. Now Steele has it at the right wing. Uke passes underneath. A pass underneath. Draws the foul, and that foul goes against Hesser. So that's his 4th personal foul. 2:37 left. First team foul. Inbound to Uke. Uke hands off to Vanisdal. Vanisdal goes over to Truffholtz. Truffholtz takes the 3. That's off the mark, but is able to get his own rebound. Picks it up, looking for help. Sends it all the way across to Smith. Smith on the near side driving in. The layup is up and good. (54-50). Warriors with a 4-point lead. 2:05 left. Bounce pass to Brigham. Brigham to Hesser. Hesser to Brigham on the far side. Hesser now looked at the 3, drives across, pulls back to the 3-point line, bounce pass out to Shada. Shada to Glock. Glock gets the screen and it's short. And the rebound comes back. Truffle sends it back over to Steele. Steele driving in, back to Uke. Uke now driving to the left wing. Fenstall drives in to Uke. Uke looking for the turnaround. Jumper is short. Rebound, and as Truffles goes up, not able to get it to drop in, but he does draw the foul. That's the fourth personal foul for Eli Shada as well. So two, Hesser and Shada both in foul trouble. First attempt is up, and that is no good. Minute 8 left, 54-50. Warriors with a lead. Second attempt, and that is no good. Rebound. Pulled in by Glock. Gets it over to Kaminsky. Kaminsky drives in. And with that, the Warriors get across the timeline and call the timeout. It's a 30-second timeout. Again, after tonight's game, we'll be chilling at DC West tomorrow with the Warriors taking on the Falcons. And you can watch that on bsdnlive.com as well. Click on the Falcon link or the Warrior link. I'll have it both places. So the Warriors with the inbound coming out of the timeout. 59 seconds left of the game. Warriors with a 4-point lead, 54-50. Tough game. Hesser with the inbound. Sends it in to Brigham. Brigham back to Hesser. And the Warriors call another timeout as Hesser gets blocked. So there's going to be, when they come back, this is a full timeout. So let's go ahead and say thank you again to all the sponsors, part of the part of the Wahoo Warrior Athletic Club's Booster Club sponsors. Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. Also say thank you to JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. All right, so Warriors with another attempt to inbound. Hesser. Inbound comes in to Glock. Glock. And Glock draws the foul. So that's the fourth team foul. 47.4 seconds left. Inbound gets all the way back to Kaminsky, and then draws the foul. Now that's a 15 foul. That puts the Warriors into bonus territory. So Jace Kaminsky at the free throw line. First attempt is up, and that one rims out. Second attempt is good. 55-50. Inbound, comes in, goes to the far side to Truffholtz. Truffholtz driving in, puts it up, is able to drop it in, and they call the timeout. .34 seconds left of the game. 3 points separate the two teams, 55-52. And they're going to take a full timeout. We'll go ahead and take a quick break ourselves right here on BSDNlive.com, Saunders County Online, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, and WahooRadio.com. All right, we're about ready to wrap this one up. Warriors with the inbound. Gets it out to Hesser. Hesser draws the foul, so that's going to send him all the way down to the free throw line for 2 attempts with 30.3 seconds left. First attempt is up, and that's good. 56-52. Second attempt, and that one bounces in. That's good. 5 points separates the two teams. Bounce pass underneath. The jumper is good for 2 for Levi Uke. .6 seconds left. 3 points separates the two teams. Kaminsky receives the foul. The foul is the 5th personal foul for Sully Vandersdal. He's out of the game now. First attempt is good. 58-54. So back to a 4-point lead. Kaminsky's second attempt, and that is good as well. 3 points attempt, and that one's short, and that is rebound by Brigham, and he draws the foul. 6.9 seconds left of the game. So we have Kip Brigham at the free throw line for 2. First attempt is up, and that one bounces out. Just shy of 7 seconds left. And now we have a 6-point lead for the Warriors. Trojans inbound. Send it across to the far side. 3-point attempt by Smith, and that one's off. Hesser holds on to it. The remaining seconds go out. Warriors win. So they take on the Trojans and win 60-54. It's a good night to be a Warrior. Again, I want to say thank you to all the sponsors who are part of our broadcast. Tonight's game sponsor is Edward Jones. So tonight's sponsored Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, and Scooters. We want to say thank you to all the sponsors, part of the Wahoo Warriors Athletic Booster Club, supporting the students, the athletes, and the school. JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Sid Dillon, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Well, it's going to wrap things up for tonight. Come back tomorrow, and I will put this also on Saunders County Online YouTube. It's actually, so we travel over DC West. They have WDCNEmedia.com, BSDNlive.com, and you'll be able to watch the Warriors right here. Thank you for being a part of all of our broadcasts, and we look forward to seeing you next